The story of the 1984 Soviet 10 kopeck coin, a tiny witness to a giant empire. Imagine holding this small silver-toned coin in your gloved hand. It feels cool, slightly worn from thousands of pockets and market stalls across the vast Soviet Union. On one side, a powerful emblem of communism stares back at you. Hammer and sickle crossed over a globe, bathed in rising sun rays, wrapped in golden wheat, crowned by a five-pointed star, and stamped boldly with SSSR. On the other, simply 10 kopeck 1984, flanked by wheat stalks. This is no ordinary coin. It is a 1984 10 kopeck piece from the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, minted during the final twilight of one of history's mightiest superpowers. Its story is not just about metal and minting. It is the epic tale of ideology, everyday life, economic dreams, and eventual collapse. Let us travel back through time and uncover the fascinating history of both its front and back sides. Hello, friends. Welcome to Vault of Old Coins. Here, we bring you the oldest, the rarest, and the most mysterious coins from around the world. Do you want to know which coin is worth millions? Which coin is hiding one of history's biggest secrets? And which coin looks ordinary today, but could make you rich tomorrow? So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's open the Vault of Old Coins. The side showing the hammer, sickle, globe, star, and SSSR is the heart of Soviet propaganda in metal form. This design is the official state coat of arms of the USSR, first officially adopted in 1923, just 1 year after the Soviet Union was born from the ashes of the Russian Empire and the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917. The emblem was created by talented Soviet artists and engravers, most notably Ivan Ivanovich Dubasov, a master designer at the Goznak, state bank note and coin printing house. Dubasov and his team drew inspiration from the Communist Manifesto and Lenin's vision. The hammer represented the industrial working class, proletariat. The sickle stood for the peasants and farmers who fed the nation, and together they symbolized the unbreakable alliance between workers and peasants that powered the revolution. The globe beneath them showed the Soviet Union's internationalist dream, socialism spreading across the entire world. Rising sun rays behind the globe promised a bright communist future for humanity. The golden wheat sheaves on both sides celebrated agricultural abundance under collective farms, kolkhozes. The red five-pointed star at the top was the ultimate symbol of communism and the Red Army's victory. Around the wheat wreath, you see 15 ribbons, each representing one of the 15 Soviet Socialist republics: Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and others. This 15-ribbon version was finalized in 1956 after the Karelo-Finnish Republic was absorbed, and it remained unchanged until the USSR's end. The ribbons were originally meant to carry the slogan, "Proletarians of all countries, unite," in the languages of all republics, though on coins it is simplified. The bold letters SSSR, pronounced SSSR, are the Cyrillic initials for Soyuz Sovetskich Sotsialisticheskich Respublik, the full name of the empire. This emblem was not just decoration, it was ideological education. Every time a citizen spent this coin, they literally held the Soviet dream in their fingers. The design was refined over decades. Earlier versions had fewer ribbons, 7 or 11, when there were fewer republics. By 1961, when this exact coin series began, the emblem had become the standardized symbol of mature Soviet power. This specific 1984 coin was minted at the Leningrad Mint, now the St. Petersburg Mint, the oldest and largest mint in Russia, founded by Peter the Great in 1724. Some 1984 coins also came from the Moscow Mint, marked with a small M or L, but your example is the classic Leningrad issue. The mint was part of Goznak, the state enterprise responsible for all Soviet currency. Skilled engravers and technicians working under strict state plans produced millions of these coins using high-pressure presses on nickel-brass alloy, copper-nickel-zinc mix, cheap, durable, and resistant to wear for everyday use. Why was it made? In 1961, the Soviet government under Nikita Khrushchev launched a major monetary reform. Old rubles and kopecks were withdrawn, new sixth ruble coins were introduced at a 10-to-1 ratio to fight inflation, simplify prices, and project confidence after Stalin's death. The 10 kopeck denomination was crucial. Worth 1/10 of a ruble, it was the perfect small change for daily life. Buying a newspaper, Pravda cost 3 to 5 kopecks, a loaf of bread, a tram ticket, or a glass of kvass on the street. By 1984, the design had remained almost identical for 23 years because the Soviet-planned economy loved stability. The year 1984 fell under Konstantin Chernenko, who became General Secretary in February 1984. But the real power behind the scenes was still the aging Brezhnev-era bureaucracy. The USSR was in stagnation. The economy was slowing, the Afghan war was draining resources, oil prices were falling, and the Cold War arms race with America was exhausting the budget. Yet the state kept minting these coins to keep shops stocked and wages paid. It was made for the people, to fuel the socialist machine where money was supposed to eventually wither away under true communism. This coin was born not for profit, but for propaganda and practicality. It carried the weight of Marxist-Leninist ideology into every corner of the empire, from Moscow's Red Square to Siberian villages and Central Asian bazaars. The reverse side looked straightforward. Large 10 at the top, kopecks in the middle, and 1984 at the bottom, all framed by 2 elegant wheat stalks tied at the bottom. This minimalism was intentional. Soviet coin designers wanted the reverse to be practical for quick recognition in daily transactions, while the obverse carried the heavy ideological load. The wheat stalks echo the obverse emblem, reinforcing agricultural themes and the unity of workers and peasants. This design was standardized in the 1961 monetary reform. Before 1961, Soviet coins had different styles, some with stars, octagons, or more ornate wreaths. The 1961 series introduced the clean, modern look that lasted until 1991. The denomination 10 kopecks was one of the most useful in the Soviet price system. A tram ride might cost 5 kopecks, a newspaper 3 to 4, a loaf of black bread around 20 to 30 kopecks in the 1980s. 10 kopecks could buy a simple snack, a matchbox, or contribute toward a bigger purchase. In a country where prices were fixed by the state and shortages were common, this coin became a silent participant in millions of small economic acts. Queuing for milk, buying ice cream on a hot summer day in Leningrad, or paying for a metro token in Moscow. The year 1984 stamped on it places the coin right in the middle of the era of stagnation, Zastoy. Leonid Brezhnev had died in 1982. Yuri Andropov briefly tried anti-corruption drives and discipline campaigns in 1982 to 1984, but died in February 1984. Konstantin Chernenko, an elderly conservative, took over and continued the old ways until his own death in March 1985. The economy was struggling. Falling oil prices, the USSR's main hard currency earner, the costly Afghan War, 1979 to 1989, technological lag behind the West, and bureaucratic inefficiency. Yet the mints kept producing these coins because the planned economy needed small change to function, even as shelves emptied and the black market thrived. Picture the Leningrad Mint in 1984, massive presses stamping out millions of these nickel-brass coins, workers in overalls, the smell of machine oil, the clatter of metal. No one knew this coin would outlive the country that made it. After leaving the mint, it entered circulation. It might have been given as change to a factory worker in Ukraine, spent by a soldier on leave in Siberia, or carried in the pocket of a student in Tashkent. It survived the chaotic 1990s when the USSR collapsed, rubles were reformed, and old Soviet coins were gradually withdrawn or ignored. Many were melted down, lost, or hoarded by collectors. Your specimen, held carefully in a blue glove, has survived decades, a tiny survivor of a fallen empire. Some 1984 10 kopeck coins have minor varieties, die differences, mint marks, Leningrad usually unmarked or with subtle features. But the common circulating ones are what we see here. This is not a rare or precious metal coin. It is made of nickel brass, copper-nickel-zinc alloy, weighs about 1.6 grams, and has a reeded edge. In circulated condition, the typical state for most surviving examples, its value on the international numismatic market is very low, usually between 10 to 100 US dollars depending on where. In uncirculated or high-grade condition, mint state 63 to 65 or better, it can fetch $1,000 to $5,000, occasionally higher in auctions for premium examples. Some online sources or auction houses occasionally list higher average prices, even $4 to $6 million in certain catalogs. But these often reflect slabbed, graded specimens, bulk dealer markups, or include shipping and fees. In reality, on platforms like eBay, Numista, or Russian auction sites, common 1984 10 kopecks sell for thousands of dollars at most. Collectors value it as part of a complete Soviet 1961 to 1991 type set, or as a souvenir of the Cold War era. This little 10 kopeck piece embodies the contradictions of the Soviet experiment. It promised a bright communist future, rising sun on the emblem, while the system was visibly slowing down. It was minted for the people, in a society that claimed to be moving beyond money, yet shortages made every kopeck count. It witnessed the height of superpower status and the quiet decay that led to Gorbachev's perestroika and glasnost in 1985, the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, and the dissolution of the USSR on December 25, 1991. After the collapse, old Soviet coins like this one became symbols of a lost world, romanticized by some as a time of stability and equality, criticized by others as an era of repression and inefficiency. Today, it reminds us how ideologies are stamped into everyday objects. Holding it, you touch a fragment of 20th century history, the dream of world revolution, the reality of breadlines, the end of an empire that once spanned 1/6 of the planet. The coin itself is silent, but its story is loud with lessons about economics, power, and human resilience. From the hands of Leningrad mint workers in 1984 to your gloved fingers today, it has traveled through time, outliving the red flag that once flew over the Kremlin.